Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time. I am Kathy and this is Duality Unfolding. I have a reading for you today about your power. Like, do you know what your power is? If you don't see yourself as powerful, if you have kind of felt disempowered, if you want to learn how spirit sees you as a powerful being, this is the reading for you. So I'm going to pull tarot and oracle cards for each group, and what we'll be talking about is how you see yourself. So that'll be kind of a vibe check, like how you see yourself as a powerful or possibly not powerful person, how others see you when you're in your power, how spirit sees you as a powerful person, and then the power within you that you are waking up to. And then finally, we'll pull some oracle cards just as kind of supportive messages, some extra guidance from God, Source, Spirit, Universe, whatever you like to call it. So I have three groups for you to choose from. I pulled a random card from each of the decks that I have used to read for that group. And then we've got some crystals here. So for group number one, we have this little owl, this little obsidian owl. Look at this. Look at these little feathers. What a cutie patootie. And your card is the moon card, which is really beautiful card with all these magnolias. Group number two, your crystal is an amethyst moon. And your choosing card is the Ace of Cups. And group number three, your choosing card is this little dragon. Sorry, he's got something in his ear. Is that where the dragon's ear is? I don't know. This little dragon head. I don't know if this is Howlite or what it is. But yeah, this little handsome guy. And your choosing card is the Six of Pentacles. So these are your options. Take all the time that you need, of course. Timestamps are below, and I will see you guys in the readings. Hello, group number one. So if you chose this moon card and this little obsidian owl, this is your reading. So like I said in the intro, we're going to look at 4 different tarot cards as well as a couple oracle cards to just kind of get an idea of, how you are powerful. So this first card is going to be how you see yourself. Okay, so we've got 5 of Cups here. 5 of Cups is a card of grieving, and it feels like when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, or when you're in a situation that you kind of get overwhelmed or overcome by emotion, like you have a tendency to feel like you are not a powerful person. But I feel like the dichotomy or the magic of allowing ourselves to feel things is that is ultimately like the most powerful thing that we can offer ourselves, because allowing ourselves to feel is the way that we heal from the things that we've been through, and offering ourselves the things that we need to heal, especially when they are not easy to be with, I feel like is the most, like, one of the most high expressions of self-love that you can have, because we're taught in our society that having feelings is bad, being emotional is bad, showing your emotions is bad, being sad, grieving, even being like mildly kind of unhappy or melancholy about in response to something that's happened that like you're not happy about, it can be seen as something it's almost like a social faux pas, right? That there's this like weird unexpressed, or maybe expressed depending on your experiences and upbringing, but unexpressed expectation that people should always be happy, like shiny happy people all the time. And being inauthentic in our expression is not powerful, right? Like hiding our true feelings or hiding ourselves is not a demonstration of power. Like being authentic, that's how we empower ourselves, and that's how people see us as powerful. Because when we are brave enough to be who we are in that moment, experiencing what we're experiencing and not worried about like other people judging us, and also not judging ourselves for what we're experiencing, that authenticity is extremely powerful, because it's real and it's genuine. And people, even people that like don't tap into energy, people that are not spiritual, they can feel authenticity, just like we can feel when people are being fake to us. And like, even though people that are fake may hold power, they may hold positions of power, we don't see them as powerful. We don't see them as people that are credible, or people that we would choose to listen to or ask advice or really connect to, unless there's like some other benefit to connecting to them or with them. With this moon card, the moon card is about things that we can't see, things that come to light in the darkness. So it's almost like, like when we have some uncertainty, or like it's in the dark of the night, but with the full moon is out, there's an illumination, but it's a little bit off, right? That the full moon can provide light, but it's not the same as the light from the sun, or even like an artificial light from like a flashlight or a floodlight. It gives us some perspective. The full moon gives us a little bit of perspective into what is hidden, but we still can't see it clearly, right? Like the moon gives us this better idea of like what the dark looks like in the night because of that full moon illumination, but it's not 100% clear. And so it feels like there's like what I'm feeling is that as you allow yourself to spend more time with your shadow, with this part of yourself that maybe you consider dark, it could also be something that you consider like unacceptable, something that you're worried that people will reject you for. Maybe it's a part of yourself that you reject. Like the more you allow yourself to be with those shadowy parts of yourself in the amounts that you can handle. I know everybody's got different experiences, and some of us, like, our shadow stuff comes from really significant trauma. So obviously, like you are going to make the best decisions for yourself. And, sitting with your shadow, or sitting with those kind of darker parts of yourself that you've been avoiding or ignoring, it might be something that like is something you can only do for a couple seconds, right? Like kind of thinking about a memory, or like even just remembering, for some of you, remembering that you have a box of like old photos or old memorabilia or something that reminds you of a really dark time. Even just like thinking about the fact that you still have that, you're still holding on to it, that might be the limit to the shadow work that you can do. Just acknowledging that, like, I have these physical, tangible reminders of a hard time that are tucked away someplace that I don't have to see them, but I'm not ready to let go. I feel like that acknowledgement, like just allowing yourself to be okay with that being your truth, that can be shadow work. Shadow work doesn't have to be like super, super intense. I mean, for some people, like they like intensity, like they want to do all the healing at one time. And for other people, I really feel like most of us, like, regular life can be so overwhelming and inundating to deal with. There's just so many things going on. Things move so quickly that, like, when we have the time and space to do a little bit of shadow work, like, all we can do is just a little bit. Maybe all we can do is acknowledge that, like, yep, maybe you got divorced like a while ago, but you still have, maybe your wedding ring, you're not ready to get rid of it, or you still have your wedding dress or the photos, or you're not ready to ask your parents to take the wedding photos down when you go to visit their house, even though they know that you've gotten divorced. So it's like knowing that you need to ask them to do that because that's something that you need, but not being ready to do it yet, that's still healing work. That's still shadow work. So if that resonates for you, I feel like there are some of you in this group, that are getting closer to being open to doing the shadow work. So if you are not ready, if you are not about that right now, this is not a call to arms. This is not a call to action. This is just a confirmation that some of you are getting closer to being ready to do that shadow work. So to go back to this Five of Cups, the way you see yourself is that when you are emotional, when you're grieving, when you're having a hard time, you're very much alone in that. And that people don't like being around you in that time. And that like that it's almost like that is the shadow, right? That is the shadow part of you that maybe you reject and you're assuming that other people are rejecting. But what I will tell you is, again, that like it takes so much strength to grieve, to feel your feelings, to process your feelings, to just acknowledge that, you know, that there's something significant that was lost, but also understanding that, you know, the universe doesn't, God, source, spirit, universe doesn't ever leave us like high and dry. So the things that you might be focused on as far as loss, the universe wants you to know that like there's good things that are coming for you, that it's the universe is always, it always has you, it's holding you, you know, that if you have lost like some kind of love or relationship or connection and it feels like you're never going to have that again, this Two of Cups is very much about partnership and connection, very deep connection. So this could be, you know, this could be intimate romantic connection all the way to like chosen family kind of connection, like people that are like ride or die, like people that are there for you, that like there's not anything that you could ask them for that they wouldn't be happy to give you, because that's how deeply they care for you. So this is how you see yourself. This next card is going to be how others see you. Okay, so others see you as this King of Wands. So this is, I feel like this is something I feel like that has been coming up energetically, like the kind of confronting that what we see in ourselves is not what other people, the way that other people see us. And some of the ways that things come up to me in the collective are kind of unconventional, right? Like one of the things, like if you're into social media, like one of the things that, you know, you might have become aware of, like if you're on TikTok, is like the filter that like it flips, like it kind of flips your, it doesn't flip your face, but it shows like the opposite way, like it's like a symmetry filter or something. So it's like if you normally see yourself a certain way, it flips the way the image looks, so it almost like makes it backwards. And so it, you know, it kind of says like, this is how other people see you. Or there's other filters, you know, that are like, this is how people see you, and kind of seeing it like through those filters. And a lot of their reaction videos, you know, are, of course they're trying to get like likes and kind of, you know, moving their content, getting it into what the algorithm wants to feed people. But you know, the reaction to it a lot of times is that people are kind of shocked that other people see them this way, because that's not how they see themselves, you know. And also like the inverted mirror theory, that like the reflection we see in the mirror is not actually like how people see us, it's an inversion. And then there's been a lot of like content really over the last couple of years where people are aware of how harmful social media can be and really focusing on building other people up. And so some of the content that like I've been seeing is people, I think there was 2 different videos from men, like traditionally very attractive, you know, looking maybe like 30 something men. And one of the videos was just this guy showing a picture of his, or not a picture, but showing like video of his face and talking about like how, well, he didn't say it, but it was like the words on the screen were just saying that like it was like me looking at all of my imperfections and flaws, you know, and then like seeing, like looking at someone perfect, and like the screen is black so that it reflects like your face when you're looking into your phone. And a lot of the comments, you know, to that video were, yeah, of course, like, oh, so sweet. But also people were like, you are literally perfect. Like, you're so attractive. And like, why would you think you have flaws? And it's like, that's the point of the content, you know. There was another video where a guy was just kind of filming himself, and the words said like, can you see the imperfections that I find in or can you guess the imperfections that I find in myself? And then the next, like it kind of switched over, the words did, and it said, you can't see mine, which means nobody else can see yours, you know? And so I feel like sharing all that, is, you know, this is the way you see yourself. This is how other people see you. These could not be more opposite, right? Like the King of Wands is very empowered. Like the King of Wands is this energy of confidence and action. Like the King of Wands has enough experience, enough knowledge, enough capability that whatever the King of Wands decides to do, they know that it will be successful because they put intention behind it. They know what they are capable and not capable of. Like they know the resources that they have around them. Like they've kind of cultivated like a really good group of people. And they have consistently collected evidence in their life for the times that they went through really hard things and that they succeeded, or the times that they made decisions they weren't sure of and then they learned things from it, and maybe it was a failure, maybe it was a success, but they were able to garner those lessons from it and add it to their toolbox so that the next time something similar comes up, they know what the best course of action is. So I would just like to hold these up, you know, side by side. We've got, you know, this person that's kind of looking down, shoulders are slumped, like just kind of out of it, like, yeah, just having a hard time. And then we've got this King of Wands that's just confidently sitting up, right? Like the colors are more vibrant, like he's sitting really tall. He's, you know, posture is open, face is up. There's even a little bit of a smile on his face, like not cocky, but you could tell like just confident, like comfortable being in a position of power. Very capable, great decision maker, someone that takes action and succeeds. You know, maybe they don't always win at everything. Maybe they don't always get their way, but like overall, the majority of the things they do would be seen as successful by other people. Like even like this King of Wands energy, like even if they do something and they like kind of fail or don't do it perfect, it's still a success. And so this is how people see you. Going to be quiet so you can see that like this is how you see yourself, but this is how people see you. Okay, next we have how Spirit sees you. Okay, 10 of Wands. So we've got another Wands card. This I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing with you. You just don't know why you're laughing at. So essentially Spirit says you're doing too much. Like, girl or guy, friend, buddy, like YouTube internet friend, you are doing way too much. You are doing way too much because, you know, the King of Wands, like he doesn't have to do everything, right? Like a king has a court, he's got knights, he's got pages, he's got people that work for him, he's got a council, but you're doing everything by yourself, right? So the king has one wand because that is his purpose is to be a king. Their purpose is to be a king. You also are one person, but you're dragging these 10 wands and you're having a hard time, right? Like when we look at her face, she is struggling to pull these up the stairs because, I mean, these got to be heavy, right? Like, what is this? This is like a 5-pound crystal. That's gigantic. You know, and she's just pulling these up all of these stairs to get to this door that's going to have to be open. So then she's going to have to hold onto this bag and try to open the door, or maybe fish out her key, which is fortunately right there. So prepared, but overwhelmed, doing too much. And so the message I feel like that's coming through with this is that you don't have anything to prove. Like, yes, this is how you see yourself, but this is very much in the dark. Like this version of you is hidden from most people. Most people do not see you as this. People see you this way. And you're working so hard to prove how capable you are to other people, but like you already, like, you're at level 100 out of 100 of capability. Like, there, what, you can't, like, there's no extra credit. There's nothing else for you to do. Like, you don't, stop doing too much. Like, stop. This is like, the 10 is the end, right? In the tarot, like the numbered cards, like 10 is always the last card. So like, if you were in a cycle of overdoing, if you were in a cycle of trying to prove yourself, if you were in a cycle of hustling for your worthiness, like trying to get approval to earn love, you know, some of us grew up that like earning people's approval is how you get love, right? So if you were a kid that had to get all A's, you had to be perfect, like you could never do anything wrong, and like that was how you were taught that you would earn love, just be a good girl or a good boy, and that's the only thing your parents want, and that if you do that, then they'll love you, you know, which is really, unfortunately, like that's conditional love. And human beings aren't perfect, right? So it's like this cat and mouse game. You're always chasing more approval in hopes of feeling like you're loved, but like you already are loved. Like the universe loves you even if you didn't do anything else the rest of your life. Like God, source, spirit, universe, as well as like people that are in your life, like they would still love you. They might be concerned, but they would still love you. They wouldn't stop loving you because you are like, I don't want to pull this up the stairs anymore. I don't want to struggle. I don't want to try to work so hard to earn something that I can never earn, because you already have it. You already have it. So if you are a chronic overdoer, I was for very like decades. If I could invite you just to do one little thing, if it feels right for you. If it does not feel right for you, then you do whatever you want. But if I can invite you to do one little thing, it would be just to notice how much you do in comparison to other people. And also to notice how much extra you are willing to do that other people are not willing to do. You don't have to stop doing it. You don't have to do more. You don't have to do less. You don't have to change any of the actions that you take. You don't have to change any of your behaviors. I just would like to invite you to bring some awareness to it. So this could look like being at work and they have a new project and they need someone to take the lead, and everybody kind of looks at you for you to volunteer to do it because you always volunteer. Just allowing your brain to take note of that there's an expectation that you're going to do it. And also kind of to look at like how big the team is. You know, it's probably not a team of 3. Even if it is just a team of 3, there's 2 other people that could volunteer. Just saying. This could be in community, with family, with friends, you know, like maybe if you are part of like an organization that is run on volunteers, how much are you volunteering? Even in like friendships, like, are you always offering to pay? Are you always offering to drive? You know, doing too much can also be giving too much. So, like I said, you don't have to change anything. I would just like to invite you to kind of become aware, like to just put your ego to work for you, you know, and just maybe ask your ego like, hey, when we're going about our day, can you just take some notes when, you know, I'm might be overdoing and overgiving. And then if you can just, you know, at a time that things are calm and quiet, if you can just kind of let me know. I feel like if you kind of struggle with anxiety or over worrying, or you feel like your ego's trying to like run your life, unsolicited advice here, to give it a job, to keep it busy. Because when we don't give our ego a job, it's like the toddler that always wants to help. Like if you don't give them a task to do, they're just going to come along and be around you and try to do the things that they think need to be done. But they're 2. They don't know how mopping works. So they're like, well, I don't have a mop, but I have hands that I could stick in this bucket and splash water everywhere, because you're getting water everywhere, right? Instead of saying, hey, you know, toddler, whatever your toddler's name is, you know, or your ego, whatever, you know, for the purposes of this example, ego, I need you to remind me to drink water every hour. And it sounds crazy, but it works. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, right? Your ego's not going to be like, hey, it's been 60 minutes, but you might go a couple hours and realize like, oh shit, I haven't drank any water. And then that's your ego. You can be like, good job, buddy. So yeah, just a little unsolicited advice. If you are like an over worrier, like an over ruminator, sometimes that's your ego, just getting into stuff because it doesn't have a job. Okay, so then let's get into this last tarot card, which is the power within you that you are waking up to. So I'm going to put these two right here. Let's look at this last one. 7 of Cups. I like that. So what am I doing? Sorry. Let me get my life together. If only it was this simple, right? It's just like organizing cards is how like our lives got together, or at least mine. Maybe yours. Mine, not so much. A hot mess over here. Okay, so the power within you that you are waking up to is that you have the power to choose what you want. This also includes having the power to choose what you don't want. With this, we see this person, she's holding 2 cups, so she's got these options that she's like, okay, I know I want a matching set, but these look good too, and let me really think, like, do I just need 2? Maybe, do I need to get a basket so I can get like 4 cups? Right? So we can see this person really kind of ruminating, like, well, do I want more than this, or do I like these, or like what's in those? And like there's different elements. We can see kind of different stuff coming out of these cards. Maybe she's thinking about like, what is that? Or like, do I just want to pick something random? Like, does that feel fun? Or do I want to do this with intention? And so as someone that has been doing too much, it is very possible that you have been giving, it's not possible, you've been giving your power away. I'm just gonna be blunt, because that feeling that came in around like over volunteering, overdoing, like just taking on more than you need to, doing more than you need to, comes from a place of believing that you don't have the power to say no, which for a lot of us that struggle to say no, it is not, sorry, I hit the microphone. It is not related to power. That's not how we equate it in our minds. But saying no is an act of power. It is a boundary. Boundaries are an act of power. And so a lot of times for those of us that overdo or have overdone, what this looks like in our lives is that like, I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be mean and say no. Which really is that like, I don't want to deal with the conflict. I don't want to have to explain my boundaries. I don't want to have to justify why I deserve something that everybody else doesn't have to fight for. That's hard, right? Can we just acknowledge that like that is hard? Like when you're not taught how to implement boundaries, like when your no isn't listened to, when people kind of talk over you, overpower you, like that, those small things that happen teach you that you have no power, but you always have power. You always have had power. You always will have power. I think you're just a little bit colorblind to it. And so the power within you that you're waking up to is this power of choice. And so I feel like this 7 of Cups, like really, like the energy of seven of Cups is sometimes it's a little bit of indecision, right? And so where does indecision comes from? Indecision comes from wanting to weigh out the options. Just like we have this woman, it's not that she doesn't know what a cup is. It's not that she doesn't know how many cups she needs. Like maybe she's thinking about the future, right? That like, well, I just need 2 cups right now, because it's just me and if I have a visitor, but I actually have been thinking about like inviting more people over, or I've been wanting to have a housewarming. So maybe I do need more cups, or could I use these cups for other things? Or do I like these cups? Like on the outside, indecision looks like nothing's happening, but on the inside, it's the thought process, it's the decision-making process. And so, you taking the time to really like analyze and choose what you want, or determine what you want and what you don't want, is where your power is going to come from. Because everyone has the ability to choose what it is that they want for themselves. And like when you look at the world that we live in, like there's so many options for just everyday things for the majority of people. And really, maybe this is a privilege at this point, right? Because there are people that are in the world in lots of places that don't have choices. But for the majority of us, like we have choices. We have choices as far as like where we want to buy our food, like where we want to pay to have someone make food for us. We have options as far as like how we want to get somewhere, and so you coming to an understanding that choice is almost like the great equalizer, right? Like a lot of times, like I've heard people say that time is the great equalizer, because like we all have the same finite amount of time. We all have 24 hours in a day, right? We all have as many years as we have in this life, and none of us has the power to dictate like extending our life cycle, right? Like we can't decide that like, nope, I'm gonna stay alive for 20 more years or like, time doesn't work that way. Like the human body doesn't work that way. And so, time being this thing that all people have the same experiential access to, as far as having the same amount of time that like we really can't control it. Choice is very much the same way, that like we all have the power to choose. But there are some of us that don't believe that we have that power, because people have made us feel like we don't have that power. That's not the truth. And so the power within you that is waking up is understanding that like you taking the time to make choices that work for you is what is going to grow your sense of power, and it's what is going to help you see yourself as an empowered person. And what this feels like is that as you start to become more aware of like whether you choose things or not, or how you choose things, because like what I'm hearing in my mind is it's kind of like a simple conversation, right? Like, oh, let's meet for coffee. Okay, where do you want to go? And your response is like, oh, you choose. And like what that is doing, is it's giving the other person the power to choose. And sometimes like those small choices, maybe they don't matter, right? Maybe you don't care because you just drink black coffee and any place is good for you. Other times we give away our power to the other person. We defer the power to the other person because we've been taught or socialized that that is what is polite. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what friendship is. That's what love looks like. And it's not. That, you are being offered, a choice, like to make a choice, and what you do with that choice is how you're going to find your power. And the other message with Seven of Cups is that there is no wrong choice, right? That sometimes this person can be really ruminating on like, how do I pick the best two cups? How do I pick the perfect two cups? And like, this very much reminds me of like my mom, like going grocery shopping with my mom, because she's very, especially with produce, she's very picky. And when she's taking the time to pick out things, I don't know if this is just like an Asian mom thing or what, but when she's taking the time to pick out produce, she like she used to talk to me about it, I think especially when I was in my 20s, because maybe I didn't know what I was doing. I probably didn't. Do I know what I'm doing now? Who knows? But she would be like, oh, like when you're picking out a watermelon, you have to like knock on it, and like this sound means this, or when you're picking out this, you have to look for bruises, and so it feels like that same energy, right? That, either way, you're going to get yourself a watermelon, or you're going to get yourself some onions, or you're going to get some bananas, or whatever you're shopping for, but you're trying to make the best choice for yourself. But as long as you come away with a watermelon or whatever thing you were shopping for, like the choice you made was fine. Because, like if you've ever bought, I don't know, like if you ever bought like apples and then like you cut into it and it's like, oh, there's a bruise and I didn't see it. It's like, you're not going to throw the whole apple away. It's like, well, I'll just cut around it. Or maybe you eat it because it doesn't really taste any different. So this 7 of Cups being like that there are no wrong choices. Like I'm saying that because I don't want you to fixate on power coming from making the right choice. That's not what this is. Like your power is going to grow as you exercise your power to make choices for yourself. And so I feel like this is getting really abstract, so I hope it's not confusing, but this can look as simple as just like tapping into yourself, right? Like when that friend's like, hey, let's meet for coffee. Where do you want to go? And you kind of take a beat and you think like, do I want to decide? And maybe you're like, no, I don't want to decide. And so you intentionally say, well, you choose. You know more about coffee than I do. So like, I know you'll pick a good spot. Or you might say, actually, do you mind if we try this like new tea house? I know it's not coffee, but like it's kind of the same thing and it's something new. And they might be like, oh, that's a great idea because I've been trying to drink less caffeine or whatever. And so that act of tapping in, of just tuning into yourself, like taking a moment to think about like, okay, what do I want to choose for this? Do I want to make the choice? Because sometimes for some of us that like it's a muscle, right? Making decisions is a muscle. If you've always deferred your decision making to other people, it can feel overwhelming to be the one making the decision. And so maybe what you do instead is you acknowledge that like, okay, I see that this is an opportunity for me to use my power to choose. And I think I'm going to choose to let someone else make the decision because that feels more comfortable for me right now. And just acknowledging that is huge, right? And so this kind of goes back to the same thing we talked about here where with the shadow work, like sometimes the shadow work is just acknowledging I have a box of stuff from a relationship I'm not in anymore and I have it tucked away in a closet. I know it's there, but I can't right now. It's just going to stay there, but I know it's there. And like, that's all you could do is just, acknowledging like, okay, I could make a choice, but I don't want to right now. So I am choosing to defer to someone else. That is still the choice. Like you're still exercising that muscle. Okay. I think I've like harped on that enough for you. So hopefully like that makes sense to you that like, as you allow yourself to exercise, like choosing, not choosing, being intentional around like, your awareness of having the opportunity to choose and really tuning into like how you want to do that. Like that's going to help you see yourself as a much more powerful person. And it's also going to grow your power within you. Okay, so next I have a card from the 4 Agreements deck. And so this, the message on the front is always do your best. And it says practice makes the master. So the 4 Agreements is a really brief but just really powerful book that if you haven't heard of it, you can Google it and kind of see like what the 4 agreements are. This is one of them. Always do your best. And so the message on the back is by doing your best over and over, you can master the art of transformation. By doing your best, the habits of misusing your word, taking things personally, and making assumptions will become weaker and less frequent with time. So misusing your words, taking things personally, and making assumptions, those are part of the other 3 agreements. The first one is be impeccable with your word. The second one is don't take things personally. And then the next one is don't make assumptions. The last one is do your best. So with this first part, by doing your best over and over, you can master the art of transformation. I feel like that very much aligns with exercising your awareness of the fact that you can make choices, right? And so even if you choose to defer to someone else, that is still a choice. And so over time, like as you repeat making choices in whatever form you do, like that is going to be a huge part of your transformation into a person that sees yourself as the King of Wands, that sees yourself as powerful. So next we have this health card, and it says, I will honor the physical vessel that enshrines my soul. I feel like that one really aligns with the doing too much, you know, like that, give yourself a break. Like this, look at how hard she's pulling. She's gonna pull a hammy. She's gonna strain something. And then what, right? And then what? Like, you don't want to do so much that you create some kind of like health problem for yourself, because, you know, then it's just more problems on top of problems, and you deserve to rest. We've got, you know, these two here, the Moon and the Five of Cups, very much, you know, when we're kind of in periods of darkness, when we're dealing with like grief, those are excellent times to rest. Also the color, come on, look at these colors here. It even matches. So let me move this. Let me color coordinate your reading here. Yeah. So if you can take a rest, take a nap. I am a big fan of doing nothing. So if you have the luxury of time to do nothing, even if it's like 15 minutes, I highly recommend it. It's so good for your like body, mental health. And I think it's fun. Sometimes it's nice to just do nothing, right? Not have to worry about the things you're supposed to do and like what needs to get done, and just let your brain have a break and your body. And then finally we have the self-care card, and the message is security. What? I cannot look at this. Look at personal power. What? What is the, okay. Security. And then the message is true security comes from having a reserve of time, space, energy, personal power, and love. Make deposits in all of these accounts and you will be a wealthy person indeed. Yep. That's the pat, right? That's what a king does. That's what a king does. They know how to allocate their resources between all of their bank accounts of self-care. This is so stinking cute. I love this deck. Yeah. This is where you're headed, right? This is where you're heading to. It's almost, you know, it's almost like as you exercise your choice, you're, you know, going to be factoring in like what is healthy and not healthy for you. That's where your choices are going to stem from. Like what is most beneficial for me? What works best for me? What is of the best, highest good for me? And as you are learning to do that, you're going to start allocating your time, energy, personal power, love, space into the places that are investments for you and for the people that you care about. And that's going to lead you to you seeing yourself as this King of Wands that everybody else sees you as. And I feel like that's going to lead to a lot of healing. So group number 1, this has been your reading on how you are powerful and how you are becoming more powerful. So I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. If this is your first time watching a video with me, thank you so much for hanging out. If you are a return viewer, thank you so much for coming back and watching another video. And most of all, thank you for letting me read your cards. I just hope that this is like supportive for you. That's always my intention, that it's supportive and helpful for me to channel messages from Spirit for you. So yeah, thanks for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye. Hello, group number 2. So if you chose this Ace of Cups card and this little amethyst moon, this is your reading. So we are going to look at how you see yourself, how others see you as a powerful person, how Spirit sees you as a powerful person, and the power within you that you are waking up to, as well as 3 oracle cards at the end. So let's see how you see yourself. King of Wands. So he came up in the last reading, but in a different position. So you see yourself as someone that's powerful. Like you see yourself as someone that is comfortable being in a position of authority. You see yourself as someone that's like a doer. You take action. You there's a possibility you see yourself as a little bit bossy. And I just say that because of his hand being up, you know, like maybe you see yourself as like having to be a director. You see yourself as someone that's got some wisdom and experience. I say that with these little gray hairs here that kind of, you know, kind of denote age, which is what we tie experience to, which, you know, isn't the only way. But overall, like you are very comfortable in your power. You're comfortable being in charge. You're comfortable making decisions. And I feel like that's awesome. Like who doesn't want that, right? Who doesn't want to feel comfortable in their capabilities, their capacities, the decisions that they make? Yeah, you see yourself as a strong person. And very balanced too. Like when I'm looking at this card, we've got the 2 wands here. He's got something on each wrist. And then also the hands, like both of the arms are kind of up in a similar posture, right? So there's a lot of balance here. Very interesting. So next, we're going to look at how others see you. So others see you as the Emperor. King of Wands and the Emperor are very similar energies. I'm laughing because the Emperor is associated with Aries, which is a fire sign. King of Wands, wands are the element of fire in the tarot. So you have a very, and the postures are similar. Like look at, they're pretty much like, they look very similar. And I think, so I feel like the differences are that people see you as someone that is more powerful, almost behind the scenes, right? That like, we've got this person here with this documentation. There's all these kind of buildings back here. And I feel like this Emperor has much more of like an architectural energy than this King of Wands, who kind of has a kind of team leader energy. And so like you see yourself as powerful in interacting with people, you know, that like giving direction, like almost like guiding, leading, mentoring people. And the majority of people see you as powerful in like in the foundation of things, that, you know, and this doesn't negate whether you are powerful with people or not, but like the people that see you as powerful feel like you're much more well-rounded of a leader than how you see yourself, right? Because an emperor is a step up from a king, you know, that like, yes, it's very similar energy, but like when you think of like a kingdom or an empire, you know, an empire is much bigger. They sound kind of like the same thing, but like when you think about like, let's think of like the King of England versus like the, I don't know, like the, like a king, like the, like all the dynasties and empires that they had in China, right? That like, even if we look at the geography of it, England is much smaller than like China. And so this empire or this emperor energy is much more expansive and influential in its power than the King of Wands. And so people see you as powerful at like a little bit higher level than you see yourself. And so for some of you, you know, like what does this matter? For some of you, this matters because of work. So if you are given, no, okay, I feel like an opportunity is going to come in for you to take on a role that to you feels a little bit bigger than what you have the experience for, but it's being offered to you because this is how they see you. So what this could look like is going from being, I guess just use like a simple example, going from being like a store manager to being a regional manager, going from being like the director of marketing to being the VP of marketing. Like it's still in the same field, but it's that breadth of power, like that area of responsibility, like it's being widened, like it's so much bigger, right? So it's like, instead of just having one kingdom, like, well, we want you to actually rule over 4 kingdoms that comprise this empire. And so when this opportunity comes, if you have doubts about your ability to fill this role, then I need you to think about this card reading, because this is how they see you, and they are offering you this role because this is how you are seen. And so in the last group, I talked about kind of perception, that we have a way different perception of ourselves than others do. And kind of talked about like the mirror inversion theory, that like the image we see in the mirror is inverted from how we actually look. So like we don't ever really know what we look like to other people, except for video. But well, anyway, but that the way that we see ourselves is our perception, and our perception is not the truth. Like, it's not the only truth, right? It's our truth, but the way that other people see you, that is their truth. And so this kind of gets into this abstract realm of like, okay, there's my truth, there's your truth, and then there's the truth, right? And I think that a really powerful thing that happens to us as human beings is when other people share their perception of us with us, and we allow ourselves to receive it. So this job that is being offered to some of you is a reflection of how you are seen by others, and you taking the job is receiving that you are a little bit more powerful than you thought you were. And that if the people that make the decisions feel like you would be good at this, maybe you can trust their judgment, especially if it's, you know, if it has all the conditions that work for you, right? If there's a raise, or if this is a path that you've been wanting to follow. I feel like for some of you, like, it feels like, nope, I don't like that. I don't want that. Right. I don't want extra work. Like the message is not for you then, as far as the situation. But the fact that other people see you as a level up from where you see yourself, that's the important key message here. That, you know, that you are seen as much more powerful than you are, and just allowing yourself to kind of be aware of that and absorb that, and like see how that feels to you. Is it possible? Does it make you feel more confident in yourself? Does it make you a little braver to try things that you wouldn't normally try? So let's move on to the way that Spirit sees you. Okay, so Spirit sees you as this 4 of coins. So we have, let me move this over here. So we have this person, and they are clutching very tightly to their 4 coins, to their resources. This is a card of scarcity. And I feel like some of you have a tricky relationship with power, that you've seen how other people can misuse their power, and you don't want to do that. But there's also a part of you that is fearful that other people will see you that way, even if you're not doing that, you know? And so it's like there's kind of a little bit of fear around power. And so to me, this feels very much about the energy of intention. That, you know, we have one person and she has 4 coins, right? So, and these are big coins, you know, she keeps them close to her, but the intention behind clinging so tightly to them is rooted in fear. There's a fear of loss. There's a fear that somebody's going to take it. There's a fear that they just won't have it, right? So the intention of this is fear. You When we operate from an intention of fear, like it's not the best place, right? Versus operating from an intention of maybe wanting to use your power for the best good of the group. And is it going to be perfect? Are you going to make everybody happy? No. But, holding that intention and expressing that intention, and saying, hey, I've kind of thought about this decision and I feel like this is the best thing for the group. But if anybody disagrees, please let me know. We can, if somebody has better ideas or if there's a better way, because the intention is for this to work for everybody, right? So it's like this open posture is the expression of that intention. This Four of Pentacles, like they don't want people to know that they're fearful. They don't want people to know they're afraid of losing this. But you can see it, right? You can see it all over them. The reason that they keep this almost gives me like the energy of people keeping money under their mattress because they don't trust the banking system. Like there's such a fear of losing the money to the banking system. Oh, sorry. So sorry, I don't know where that came from. There's such a fear of losing the money to a banking system, a system that is more powerful than them, that they would do themselves a disservice by keeping their money under a mattress, which is not insured, that could get robbed. Their house could get robbed. Somebody could steal the money, could catch on fire. They're so fearful that they would rather do that than give their power over to someone else. So I feel like, I feel like the universe is kind of inviting you to look at your relationship to power and looking at if there is someone from your past that created this feeling of fear in you. If there was someone that took something from you, that threatened to take something from you, someone that made you feel fearful, like it feels like there's an invitation to just kind of identify that. Because I feel like for some of you, there's a person, place, situation that instilled this feeling of fear of loss in you. And that kind of belief system is still kind of in the deep recesses of your mind, but that person is not. Like you've done the healing around like removing the person. You would never let this person back in. So it's like this last bit of healing is acknowledging or really looking at that belief that their behaviors triggered you to create, and just looking at that belief and deciding like, do I want to believe that there's not enough? Do I want to believe that people are always trying to take away from me? Do I want to believe that I'm not safe or that I need to be afraid? And then lastly, we have the power within you that you are waking up to. Oh, Three of Cups. This is such a good card. Three of Cups is about like friendships, connections, celebration. We've got everybody here. They're all facing kind of in towards each other. They're celebrating together. We can't see or we can't tell who they're celebrating, right? And so it just feels like this very healthy, balanced, supportive energy that, that it could be any person that they're celebrating. It could be anybody's birthday. It could be anybody's promotion. It could be anybody's significant accomplishment. It could just be getting together to celebrate the fact that like they have a really great friendship and that they have supported each other through lots of things. And like the power that you are waking up to within you is this ability that you have to deeply connect with people. This ability that you have to, and I feel like this is something that you haven't always had, but this ability that you now have to find healthy people that you can develop really beautiful, supportive connections with. And I feel like this is something that like happens in your personal and professional life, that you, for a lot of you, this is like a work reading, which is very interesting because this Ace of Cups is about love. But love is really about relationships, you know, whether it's our relationship to ourselves or our relationship to others, our relationship to what we invest in, where we work, the things that we do. And with this 3 of Cups here, I feel like there's this overflowing, right? That like when you reflect back on some of the other things you've been through, possibly this thing that created this fear belief within you, your life is completely different. That like you have learned how to seek out and provide yourself with the things that you need to feel supported, nourished by yourself. Like you've learned how to care for yourself really deeply. And in that, you've learned how to invite people in or how to bring people in that also care for you really deeply and that are also comfortable with you caring for them. So there's like so much balance here, but it's like balance plus, right? So it's like the way that you see yourself is as a powerful person, and then the way that other people see you as a person that is very powerful, but like at a larger, like a higher level than how you see yourself. You know, with this Ace of Cups, like you have done all this work to learn how to love and care for yourself, and the power that you're waking up to within you is your ability to take those foundational skills of self-connection and expand them to connecting with other people, which is really beautiful. Really beautiful, I think, because we, you know, not only are we in a time that like people are realizing that they need a lot more in-person connection than they thought they did, but also I feel like people have done a lot of work around what it is that they want and what they don't want in connection, and they've gotten really clear on that, you know, and also understanding that like we all kind of look for different types of connection, that you know, some people like they're like very activity oriented, right? So like they connect best with others when there's like some kind of activity, like a game or a video game or like hiking or exercising or something like that. And then there's other people that, you know, are seeking out like emotionally supportive connections, you know, and it's not to say that one is better than the other. Like we just all want and need different things, you know. I mean, that's why we have all the different options for things that we have, like different food and clothes and places to live, and just, you know, that's just kind of the nature of existence, that there's variety, because one thing isn't enough, like, you know, for everyone. That we need different things. Like some things don't work for others that work for, you know, other people. I hope that makes sense. Okay, next we have a 4 agreements card. So this is one of the oracle cards, and the message is be impeccable with your word, express your love. Oh, this Ace of Cups. The message is impeccability of the word can be measured by your level of self-love. If you love yourself, you will express that love in your interactions with others, and that action will produce a like reaction. Okay, I mean, that's literally literally what we just talked about. So I love that confirmation. If you are not familiar with the 4 agreements, it's a really brief but great book. It's a self-help book, and it's got 4 different agreements, and one of them is to be impeccable with your word, which is to essentially, like in a nutshell, mean what it is that you say. So and that it kind of feels like, well, duh. Except for we don't do that, right? Like in our everyday interactions with people, for example, like, how are you doing? Fine. Are you really fine? You know, like a lot of times, like we are not impeccable with those words because it's like, well, nobody wants to listen to how I'm really feeling, or I don't want to share, or, you know, I don't want to be judged, or there's all this underlying stuff that prevents us from saying, you know, that we're not fine. Actually, I have a headache, and I was in a meeting that was 2 hours long, and I don't know that I can give you my full attention for this next meeting, you know. And in being impeccable and honest with our word, what that allows for the other person is for them to make a decision, right? That like if they really need your full attention, they might say, you know what, I have an open schedule tomorrow. Can we meet tomorrow instead? You know, because I don't want you to like suffer through a meeting with me, but I need you to be present for this, because I really need your expertise and I really need your advice on this, right? Or it might be your boss and they might be like, well, go home. like go home, like take the day, because 2-hour meetings are miserable. So when we were impeccable with our word, like it creates these changes in our life, along with like following the other 3 agreements. But yeah, being impeccable with your word, or impeccability of the word, can be measured by your level of self-love. So we just talked about here that, you know, like you've done a lot of work on self-love, and that expressing your love to others, you know, or just, yeah, expressing, it's almost like operating in love, like taking action, making choices out of love for yourself is going to draw in the people that are also heavily invested in self-love or in the act of operating out of love. Next, we have this trust card. I accept that my inner voice will always guide me correctly. Yeah. I feel like this is almost the counter to this fear belief system, right? That like that old belief that's rooted in fear, like you can let that go because you know how to trust yourself. You know how to trust your inner voice. I feel like whatever this was, there's a lot of time that's passed since this happened. And so there's going to be a lot of evidence that you can look back on in your life for all the times that you trusted yourself and you took amazing care of yourself. I mean, that's where your self-love really comes from, like that evidence of how much care you've taken of yourself, like how capable you are in making good decisions for yourself. But I feel like reflecting on that, reflecting on how trustworthy you have become to yourself is really going to help you release that one kind of small fear belief. And then finally, we have a self-care card. And this card is patience. And the message is, it is safe to wait. So I feel like if there's anybody that has felt like in a hurry about something, or if maybe that's something that's coming up for you, because it kind of feels like it's the message that's coming through is like, well, what if it's too late? What if it's too late? What if it's too late? Well, it's not too late because it's safe for you to wait. Like you are being encouraged to be patient. And I feel like some of that is rooted in this, that I have to hold on to this because something else might not come. I have to grab whatever comes at me because it might not come again. And that is a little bit of the energy of impatience, you know, that it's not safe to wait. And this self-care card is telling you that it is safe to wait. Like you're not going to miss the good things that are meant for you. Yeah. So group number 2, this has been the reading on the ways that you, the ways that you are powerful and how you're growing in your power. And I just want to acknowledge like all the work that you've done, this like self-care work that you've done. It's very powerful and really positive and beautiful. So I just want to say thank you for joining me for this reading. If you are new, thanks for hanging out. If you are a returning viewer, thank you for coming back. Most of all, thank you for letting me read cards for you. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day, afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you're watching this. And I will see you next time. Bye. Hello, group number 3. So if you chose this little dragon head guy that's kind of hard to see and this, which way should we put him? Put him like this. I don't know. Put him like this. Does it? Nope, can't see. Sorry, I'm just gonna keep messing with. I'm gonna waste your time and keep messing with this. I'm sorry. The dragon head and the 6 of Pentacles. If you've chosen these 2 things, then this is your reading, group number 3. So as I mentioned in the intro, we are going to look at 4 different tarot cards. We're going to look at a tarot card for how you see yourself, how others see you as powerful, how spirit sees you as powerful, and then the power within you that you are waking up to. And then we'll look at 3 oracle cards at the end just for some extra kind of supportive messages from the universe, because the universe, I don't know if you know this, but the universe thinks you're a big deal and they love you. So, yep. Okay, so let's look at this first card, how you see yourself. Temperance. Okay, you might see yourself as someone that is angelic. You might just see yourself as someone that's like patient and balanced, or someone that's always working to maintain some sort of balance, right? Because we've got the Temperance angel that is, they're actively kind of balancing, tempering this water, pouring it between these two cups. So you might not think of yourself as a balanced person, but you might be very aware that you're always trying to kind of balance things. You might also see yourself as someone that exists between sort of two different worlds, because this angel has one foot on the ground and one foot in the water. For some of you, you might see a lot of dragonflies. I feel like dragonfly energy is very much the same as temperance energy, in that dragonflies are born in the water. I think they spend like up to like the first, I don't know, like so many months of their life in the water. And then like once they develop their wings, then they don't ever live in the water again because they live in the air, but they do, come back to the water. Like if you've ever seen a dragonfly kind of hovering over or like landing on the water. So it's like being born in one medium, coming out and existing in the other, but kind of coming back to your roots, but venturing out. So yeah, some of you might be very like might consider yourself very much like homebodies, or like your family might be really important, but you have moved away from where they live. Like you've ventured out, like maybe you've done like a lot of traveling and then come back. Because this card is it's associated with Sagittarius, and Sagittarius has to do a lot with travel, long distance travel. So you might see yourself as someone that loves travel. I would say that you generally see yourself as kind of an optimistic person or a realist. Not necessarily pessimistic, but if you don't see yourself as optimistic, you see yourself as like a realist that leans a little bit towards optimism. Like kind of maybe you're aware of worst case situation, but you really are hoping for best case situation, or something closer to best case situation the majority of the time. Okay, so let's look at how others see you as a powerful person. Oh, Queen of Cups. So people see your power coming from how loving, caring, nurturing, kind you are. The cups is love, emotions. Queen of Cups is very similar to like that Empress energy, where it's like this kind of divine feminine, like mothering energy. We can see that like she's very focused on this cup, right? So like you might be others might see you as someone that's like really focused on love. Someone that's like very much focused on like romantic relationships, or just like connections, that like connecting with people is very important to you, that that you actually work really hard at it, that when a connection doesn't work out and you have to walk away from it, it hurts. It hurts you, because you are someone that will work really hard at trying to make a connection work, until you realize that the other person either shows you that they don't want that connection, shows you that they're not capable of that connection, or shows you that they really have no regard for like your feelings, and then when you have to walk away, it's painful, because you're a very like heart focused, love focused person, and it's almost like it confuses you that like other people don't care about the people that they say that they care about. Like that they don't, it confuses you that people will say they care, but they don't know how to like show that they care, or they don't know how to figure out what it looks like to others to care for them. I hope that makes sense. I mean, if this is your, like if this resonates for you, then like it makes sense. This Six of Pentacles very much, I feel like it's very complementary to both of these, right? Because Queen of Cups is very much focused on love, caring, nurturing for the other, but she's also very good at taking care of herself, because love is the focus, right? Like it's not she's not loving people to get love. She's not it's not transactional. Like this Queen of Cups energy just, it kind of exudes love. So it's a given that Queen of Cups is going to like be invested in self-care and self-love. Like it's almost like if you were a farmer and you grew tomatoes, like of course you're gonna have a lot of recipes for tomatoes, and like of course you're not gonna go to the grocery store to buy tomatoes because you have tomatoes here, and of course you love tomatoes. Like why else would you grow them if you didn't like tomatoes? And like making pasta sauce and like gazpacho and like all the things, like I don't know, like pizza, like what are all the things that you can make with tomato? Like why wouldn't you know how to do all that? Like it's just, I hope that makes sense, that it's just like a given, that like as a farmer, like you wouldn't grow something that you didn't enjoy eating because, like sure you can make a bunch of money, but like why would you learn how to cultivate and grow food just to grow it to sell it and then go buy food from someone else to eat? Like that doesn't make any sense. So like this Six of Pentacles is an energy of like reciprocity. And so I feel like which is balance. He's got the scales. We have very similar looking scales here, and then with this Queen of Cups, like because she operates out of love, she is as self-loving as she is others loving, if that makes sense. I hope that's making sense. I feel like it's coming like really, the energy, the information's coming really fast. So I don't know if I'm talking faster, or I just hope it makes sense. But this Six of Pentacles is a card of like reciprocity, right? That, this person has all these pentacles above them and they're giving to people. But I think the power in this message is that these people are open to receive, right? Because like, if someone wants to give us something and we're not open to receive it, it doesn't matter. Like if you give a gift that no one wants to receive, then is it really a gift? Not really. So it's like this is relational, that in order to be a giver, someone has to be a receiver, and in order to be a successful receiver, someone has to be willing to give you something. And so that's this balance of things. And really that's what relationships are based on, right? Give and take. Like, yeah, I feel like this is all very much the same energy. Okay, so next we have a card for how Spirit sees you. Okay, so we have this Eight of Wands. Sorry, pardon my, did I say Six of Wands, Eight of Wands? I don't know if I said Six of Wands, but this is the Eight of Wands in case I said six. But my resistance at this is because the Eight of Wands, why am I saying Wands? This is not Wands. This is Eight of Swords. This Eight of Swords card is about keeping ourselves trapped. It almost feels like a little bit of self-sabotage. Even though it's not, like this Eight of Swords is not about, well, I mean, the energy of self-sabotage can come from holding ourselves back. And so I say that because we have these Eight Swords that are here, and we've got this person that's tied up and they're blindfolded, but there's nobody that's keeping them there, right? Like they could walk away, they could wander off somewhere. They could also kind of feel around for what's near them and feel that there's a sword and use one of those swords to kind of cut these ropes off of them, and free their own hand and, remove their blindfold. We also can't see if their hands are tied behind their back. Maybe they're just standing there. But this card is very much about fear, kind of being frozen in fear, like allowing ourselves to stay stuck because we are scared, and it's not to say that there weren't scary things that happened that got us here, but the scary things that happened have passed. The scary thing is not happening anymore. And so this is very much like ostrich with their head in the sand energy, right? Like that when ostriches get scared, they stick their head in the sand so they don't have to see what's happening. But like if you keep your head in the sand, then you don't know that the danger's gone. You don't know that it's safe to come out. And so this is the same energy. Like we're hiding because we're still scared, even though we don't have a reason to be scared anymore. Because, you know, when we look at this, there's no one around them. Like it's quiet. So, you know, if we are able to still our minds and to quiet that mental chatter that is creating kind of the noise from the fear, then we can hear that like there's no one around. Maybe we hear that there's like a little bit of water running, or maybe we hear that there's birds, right? Some birds singing in the background. And once we realize that like we're not in danger anymore, once we realize that things are still in calm and quiet, we have to take action. Like once the danger is past, we have to get a little bit brave and take some action to kind of see, okay, is there really anybody around, right? Because it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't sound like it. Doesn't seem like it. But let me call out and say like, hello, is anybody here? And just wait for something, you know? And sometimes we have to get brave enough to kind of move our hands and try to get loose. Even if we're afraid that somebody is there and they're going to try to re-tie us up again, or that the danger is going to come back. But like the universe sees you as holding yourself back out of fear from something that is no longer a threat. Whew. Whew. Man, that's, yep. I feel that one. I was watching a tarot reading on YouTube. I can't remember her name. Her name is Andy, but I can't remember her channel name. And she pulled an oracle card that was the mountain, and it had a little person. Ooh, I'm losing my voice. There was like a little figure of a person in the mountain. There was like light. And so she was talking about like, it was a reading for Capricorn rising, which is what I am. And she was talking about like, okay, you have to leave the mountain. Like you have to get out of your comfort zone. And I feel like this is very much that same energy, that you have become so comfortable being stuck and still and not moving out of fear that you also are an ostrich with your head in the sand. Like you can't see all the things that are passing you by. You can't see that there's no danger. And you also have just kind of agreed to be stuck. So the universe is telling both of us, apparently I'm group number 3, that it's time for us to take some action, that like the threat is over. Even if our brains make us feel like it's not, like tuning into your body, like really kind of getting still and quiet and listening for any signs, signals that the danger is still there. And once you realize that it's not, then we have to take action. Noted. Me too. And then finally, the power within you, within us, that we're waking up to. Ooh, the Chariot. Okay, we got places to go, we got things to do, and the universe is, to me, this card is, I think of the Chariot as the universe telling us that they sent an Uber. It's kind of like the Mean Girls, like, get in, loser, we're going shopping. I feel like the Chariot is like the card that the universe sends when it's like, get in, loser, we're going to make a dream life. like get in. I got someplace to take you. We got, like, get in the universe Uber. We got adventures to have and great things to do. And as long as we're stuck, we can't get in this Chariot to move forward. So the Chariot, this card is not the charioteer, this card is the Chariot, right? So the Chariot is the transportation, the vessel, the means by which we get someplace. We are the charioteer, but like you can see with this charioteer, like they aren't doing anything. There's nothing around these two, whatever these things are that are pulling the chariot. Our job is to get in. And the universe is going to steer. The universe is going to drive. The universe has the GPS all set up. It knows where we're going. And we just have to, our job is to receive. Yeah, our job is to receive. I like it. Okay. So I hope you like it too. So, the power within you that you are waking up to is that you can trust the universe, that you can, you can trust Jesus to take the wheel. Which, like, even if you don't believe in Jesus, because Jesus can't drive either. Like, when he was alive, there's no cars. Come on. But the power within you that you are waking up to, I hope that didn't offend anybody. The power within you that you are waking up to is that you can trust the universe to guide you, to lead you, to take you to the places that you want to go. You might be someone that has found a lot of safety in control, like that, that you learned through your life experiences that having control of things is where safety comes from. But really, like, control is an illusion, right? Like, we can't actually control anything. Like, we can do everything we can do to make a plan. But there's always like external circumstances that can totally like throw our plan off, right? That, like, maybe we buy a house and, we get a great rate and we save our money and we put money down on it and it's affordable to us and it's where we want to be. And then there's a forest fire and half our house is burnt down. Like, you can't control that. Like, you did everything right, but you can't control nature, And so does that mean that you failed? No. Like, that's how life is. Like, life, there, we can't control anything. And you might be at the place in your life now where you realize that, like, oh, like, it's a give and take, right? That, like, the more control I need to have, the less I'm able to surrender and trust the universe. And so if I am focused on control, that really hinders what I'm able to manifest. So do I want to feel safe, or do I want to live a life that fulfills all my dreams? And it's not a trade-off, right? It's not to say that, like, if you trust the universe and you want to chase your dream life, that you're not going to be safe. Like, that's not, because the safety that we're talking about is like safe within the system that was created by people that don't have your best interests, versus like living authentically and following a dream that you have for yourself. Trusting that, like, the universe is always going to bring what is for your best, highest good. Doesn't mean you're always going to like it, speaking from personal experience, but in hindsight, it's like, man, I didn't like that thing, but that really was the best outcome, says the woman that got laid off earlier this year. Like, I think the best thing that that's happened to me in a couple of years is getting laid off from a job, because it allowed me to trust the universe and get in, because we got things to do. We're going places. We're doing things. It's the universe has things it wants to take you to. And so your power, the power that you are waking up within you, is that you are learning the power of trust and surrender. Yeah. It's a tricky one, but it's well worth it. Next we have a card from the Four Agreements deck. This is one of the Oracle cards. So the card is be impeccable with your word, and become a white magician. I like that. Look at this little bird. Looks like he's like a little fish bird. The message is, all the magic you possess is based on your word, and you cast spells all the time with your opinions. You can either put a spell on someone with your word, or you can release someone from a spell. So in the Four Agreements book, there are obviously 4 agreements, as the title would suggest, and one of them is to be impeccable with your word. And so this card is related to the message around the power of our words, and the power that our words have on other people, as well as the power that our words have on ourselves. And so I think for me, one of the most significant, impactful things that I learned from this book was that we will never allow anyone to speak to us worse than we speak to ourselves. We will never allow anyone to hurt us more than we will hurt ourselves. And so as I was reading the book, like I was really like in this kind of place of being a victim, you know, that like that's where I was in my journey, that I was a victim to all these things that had happened to me because I hadn't learned how to see that these things were happening for me. And so in reading the book, like I was really in this place of thinking of how all these people had hurt me, you know, for all these years, and all this pain that I was carrying, and how people had said things to me that were just really terrible things that I had carried for so long. And that I then realized that, one, I had absorbed as truth, and two, that even though I would describe these things as really vile, hurtful things, they weren't as bad as the things that I was saying to myself that I wasn't aware of. And I share that because, you know, we all have an inner world, and we all have an inner voice, and there are things that like we don't share with other people. And acknowledging that like we can be really cruel to ourselves it's really hard, I think, to do because a lot of people don't talk about it, or people deny it, or they act like, oh, why would you do that? Like, you have to love yourself. Like, there's this judgment around it, I think, because it's the shadow part of all of us, right? Like, nobody wants to acknowledge that they have said horrible things to themselves, because it's like, it doesn't make sense. Like, why would I tear myself down like that, right? But I think a lot of times, like, we learn that that's how people deserve to be treated, right? That like if multiple people treat us that way, then we must deserve it, you know. Or, you know, a lot of us have trauma from childhood and relationships and upbringing, and like being a human being is really, really fucking hard. And so I share all this because of this Become a White Magician. So when I was initially reading the book, like one of the things that really kind of stuck out in my brain, it took me years to like unlearn this, was that like there was one time that my ex-husband had told me, I think I've shared this before. It was Thanksgiving and I was trying to make a pie because we were going to somebody's house, and it was not a great time in our marriage, and I burnt the pie. And I had a meltdown in the kitchen. I'm like fully dressed, you know, like dressed all nice to go to Thanksgiving at somebody's house. And I take out this pie and it is burnt, like not salvageable burnt. And I took it out of the oven and I just kind of slumped down onto the floor in my little sweater dress with I was wearing like pantyhose, and like, I mean, this, you know, like I don't wear pantyhose now. Does anybody? I don't know. But I was very, you know, dressed up, and I just kind of slumped down on the floor and cried because things were not good at that point. Things weren't good in our marriage. Like it was a really hard time in my life. And so this pie was like the last straw. And he came over and he knelt down next to me and he said, "You're crazy. I'm going to call someone to come and take you away because you're crazy. And nobody's ever going to want you. Nobody's ever going to want you because you're crazy." And then he just got up and went about his business like it was normal. And that stuck with me for so long, that like I really did believe that. Like, why would anybody want me? Because I am crazy. What's wrong? Who cries over a pie? Yeah. Like what? And some of the things that I would say to myself, like I would blame it. You brought this on yourself. This is your fault because you're a terrible person, or whatever, you know, it was that I was saying. And now, you know, that still every once in a while, like his words will creep into my brain. I think especially like when I kind of have a difficult time, like with a romantic relationship, like when it doesn't work out, it's like I'll hear him, you know, and it's like, nobody's ever going to want you. And it's like, oh yeah, this is evidence of it. But what I've learned is to become a white magician. And so in response to those words that he says to me, what I've learned to say to myself is, that's okay, because I always want me. I will always pick me. I will always make the choices to make a life for myself that is enjoyable and memorable and fun. And I will always choose to remind myself that there are people that want me. Like I have two good friends that have been in my life for over 2 decades. That's half my life. Like that, I feel like in a world where it's so easy for us to like get disconnected or cut each other off, like to me, that's a huge reminder that somebody does want me. Like I have 2 people in the world that want to be friends with me. You know what I mean? Like I have family that, want to know what's going on with me. I have friends that I've had for, like a decade. I have friends that I've had, for shorter times, but I have people that always reach out and want to connect. And so I say those things because that's the evidence that I use to counter. That's the words I use to break the spell, that negative spell of the words that he put on me. So I share that because I want you to know that like you're not the only person that struggles with saying really mean things to yourself, or that has had people say really mean things to you, that your logical brain is like, why would you put up with that? You're not the only one. And I'm not any different than you. So if I can learn how to counter, these negative spells that people have said to me, then you can too. Yeah. And if you don't know how and you need some help, then you email me. My email is in my YouTube bio. And I will help you come up with, with countering affirmations, or I'll help you come up with something, because you don't need these shitty, mean words. Like we deserve all the love that we give other people. We deserve all of our own love. Okay, next we have this guilt card. Okay, I release any beliefs that no longer assist in my soul's growth. Yes. I'm going to put this under here. So any beliefs that are keeping us trapped, any reasons that we feel like we don't deserve to move forward or go on this amazing adventure with the universe, it's time for us to release those beliefs that are holding us back, that are keeping us stuck. And then lastly, we have this self-love card, or self-care card. Yeah, self-care wisdom card. Love, which is perfect for this Queen of Cups. Love people, love them with all your heart. Just be sure to love yourself first. Yes. Yeah, so just a reminder, again, that, we deserve all the love that we are giving to other people. We deserve all of our own love. We deserve to become white magicians in our life and, work with the universe and get out of this fear and just enjoy reciprocity and connection and operating out of love and just, yeah. Aw, and I'm looking at this dragon head because one of my really close friends, he jokes that, he's a dragon, that he's really like a big brother to me. So he's kind of like a protector. So he's like, he refers to himself as like a grumpy old dragon, which I really love because it cracks me up, because he uses the analogy for things. Like he'll talk about stuff that happens at work, and he was like, I had to breathe fire on somebody today. It's like the perfect analogy for like when you have to like tell people that they're doing things wrong, because there's really he works in the medical field. There's really dire consequences for them doing things wrong, right? So it's like this little dragon guy. I love it. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this reading as much as I did. because obviously I enjoyed it. But yeah, group number 3, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. If you are a new viewer, I want to say thank you for hanging out with me. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you would like and or subscribe. And then I just want to say, most of all, thank you for letting me read your cards. Thank you for trusting me to do this reading for you. And I hope you have a lovely day, night, afternoon, morning, evening, weekend, whenever it is. And I will see you next time. Bye.